We all have our daily routines, these little habits we do without even thinking. But what if some of those totally normal habits are, well, what if they're actually making us less sharp? Today, we're going to dig into this fascinating idea that our intelligence isn't some fixed thing we're born with, but something we can actually hurt with our own everyday actions. So, let's get into it.
So, let's just kick things off with a pretty big question. What if the very things you do every single day, the habits you barely even notice, are slowly, quietly chipping away at your ability to think deeply, to focus, and to really learn? It's a challenging thought, for sure, but it's right at the heart of what we're exploring here.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to bust the old myth about what intelligence even is. Then, we'll dive right into 4 really common habits that might be holding you back. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at this powerful idea that intelligence isn't something you have, it's something you choose.
Okay, first things first, we have got to get past this old school idea of intelligence as just some number, like an IQ score that you're stuck with for life. That is not the whole story, not even close.
A much better way to think about it is this. Intelligence isn't a score, it's a process. It's all about how you live your life, how you handle all the information coming at you, and, this is the big one, how you actively train your brain to think with clarity. Seriously, think of it like a skill. It can be sharpened or it can get dull.
Let's jump into our first habit, and oh boy, this is one we can all relate to, right? It's that constant search for distraction. It's that twitchy impulse to fill every quiet moment by grabbing our phone, refreshing a feed, or just opening another tab.
And just look at the contrast here. On one side, you've got a brain that's just flooded with constant stimulation. It trains itself to need that instant dopamine hit, which completely wrecks our ability to focus. But on the other side, you have a brain that actually embraces boredom. In that quiet space, that's where the magic happens. That's where your mind finally has the room to connect ideas, solve problems, and get truly creative.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Big breakthroughs, those aha moments, they don't happen in the middle of chaos. They come from quiet focus. So if we're always running away from silence, we're not just losing our focus, we're giving up our ability to have those deep, meaningful thoughts.
Okay, on to our second habit, and this one is a little more subtle. It's that tendency to talk way more than we listen. Wanting to dominate the conversation instead of just soaking up what other people have to say.
You see, really smart people get this fundamental truth. Every single person you meet knows something you don't. Listening isn't passive, it's an active hunt for new knowledge. But if you're constantly talking, all you're really doing is repeating what you already know, and you close yourself off from anything new.
And here's how it breaks down. The low intelligence approach is all about performance. It's about interrupting, arguing just to win, and acting like you've got all the answers. The goal is just to sound smart. But the high intelligence approach, that's all about growth. It's about pausing, asking really good questions, and actually taking the time to process what you're hearing. The goal isn't to seem intelligent, it's to actually become more intelligent.
All right, habit number 3, avoiding difficult things. We've all been there. You start a new book or a project or try to learn a new skill, and the second it gets confusing or challenging, you just drop it.
The perfect way to think about this is that the brain is a muscle. I mean, you wouldn't go to the gym and expect to get stronger without lifting anything heavy, right? It's the exact same for our minds. If we're always taking the easy route, our brains just get, soft. Real growth only comes from resistance, from struggle.
So how do we actually build up that mental muscle? Well, the process is simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. First, you have to start something hard. Then, when you inevitably hit that wall of confusion, that feeling of being totally lost, don't run. Lean into that discomfort. Because that feeling, that very moment of struggle, that's the signal that your brain is building new pathways. That's literally what growth feels like.
And that brings us to our final habit. And honestly, this might be the most dangerous one of all. The belief that you know enough. It's when you decide you've got it all figured out, that you're right, and that there's nothing really left to learn.
The difference here is just night and day. A fixed mindset thinks it's crossed the finish line, so growth stops, curiosity dies, and rigid opinions replace real understanding. But a growth mindset, it loves the idea of being a student for life. It stays curious, it asks questions, it's always testing its own beliefs, and it's that humility that keeps the mind sharp and alive.
So here's a powerful question to ask yourself, and be honest. If you can't remember the last time you truly changed your mind about something important, that might not be a sign that you're always right. It could actually be a sign that you've stopped growing.
So, let's tie all of this together. The core message here is just so powerful.
Intelligence isn't some genetic lottery you won or lost at birth. It is a direct result of your habits.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Seeking distraction kills your focus. Talking more than you listen kills your learning. Avoiding hardship kills your growth. And pride absolutely kills your curiosity. Every one of these habits directly attacks a core part of what it means to be intelligent.
And we'll end with this final thought. The path to becoming smarter isn't about cramming more facts into your head. It's about liberating your mind, freeing it from distraction, from ego, from fear, and from that dangerous belief that you're done learning. It's a choice you get to make every single day.